Hello, my name's Michael Conneely and I'm bringing to you the astrology of April 2018. And I'm bringing it from our healing centre on the Sligo coast, the far west of Ireland. And also have a look at the blog attached to this video, because that gives a lot more detail about planet movements, and most importantly there's also a presentation of emotional freedom technique healing from my partner Maggie Pashley, because our newsletter is of course called Astrology and Healing Newsletter. And the blog very clearly sets out these top 12 astrology incidents for April 2018 in both Western and Vedic astrology in a way that's very easy to cover. Right, what are the top 12 things you need to know about the astrology of 2018? Well, I would say the biggest one is the Saturn-Mars conjunction. So we actually start the month of April with Saturn and Mars in exact conjunction at 14 Vedic Sagittarius. That's 8 Western Capricorn. And it is in Purvashada Nakshatra. The Nakshatras are the wonderful, powerful 27 sign lunar zodiac of Vedic astrology. And these two planets, Saturn and Mars, stay in conjunction all month. And you need to understand what this combined energy will be. It's good for technical work and for DIY. But it's a tough, bumpy energy, because Mars wants to go, 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 and Saturn says, oh no, structure, patience, blocks, planning, and realism. And so, you know, they don't get on at all, and you're caught up in the war between Saturn and Mars. Now, it's important to realise that this does have a positive potential. Say Saturn is negatively strong in your life and you've built a concrete prison around yourself. This is me, this is my life. Mars now raises his warrior spear and says, no, break out, express yourself. So, you know, be aware of the Saturn energies and the Mars energies and their interplay, and use them in a balanced and wise way, but use them to heal your self-expression. Channel them. You see, out of this impossible battlefield, you might actually redefine your life course now. You might decide, well, I want to do, you know, all the careful, necessary Saturn things, but I'm feeling I want to fight out and be Mars. Well, if you're aware of this, you can let things fall into place around you and go with the flow even, and thus develop a more happy and authentic, empowered expression of yourself. Okay, top 12 item number 2. The Sun enters Vedic Aries on the 14th of April. So that means for 4 days either side, the Sun is in the unconfident, immaterial Gandanta zone. There's 3 of them in the Vedic zodiac. The transitions between water dissolving away, and then the first flicker of fire, a water to fire sign transition. And actually you might feel lack of confidence and not best health 4 days either side of the 14th of April. And of course the Gandanta effect is stronger the nearer the 0 point of transition it is. But once Sun settles in Aries, he's exalted there. Adolf Hitler had his Sun in Aries. The transition through the Gandanta point, by the way, can be very inspirational. because the Gandanta is not attuned to the physical world but to its immaterial nature. And so although lack of confidence can come through, inspiration and understanding can come through. So try to imagine that when the sun stabilises, you could heal your life because you've moved through connection to the wellspring of inspiration. And of course the first nakshatra of the Vedic sign of Aries is Ashwini, the healer's sign. And so contacting your inspiration and expressing it, well, Maggie has two healing modalities to deal with this. There's Access Consciousness Breakthrough Sessions, which you can do worldwide on Zoom. And there's Access Consciousness Body Process, which is hands-on work that she does here in the west of Ireland. Okay. Key point number 3, the Sun becomes conjunct Uranus. As you may remember, Uranus turned direct at the beginning of this year, at the very beginning of Vedic Aries. And what will Sun conjunct Uranus energy do for you on the 19th of April and a couple of days either side? Will there be simply irritable explosions, impatience? Or will there be inspired breakthrough? So again, remember those two sessions of Maggie's, the Access Consciousness Breakthrough Sessions worldwide and the Access Body Processes in Ireland, because they can get you to identify your inspiration and heal and get rid of blocks to embody your inspiration. Key point number 4, and of course all this is set out in more detail in the blog, which you should have a look at. So key point number 4, the moon is conjunct Ketu, the south node of the moon, on the 10th of April at 17 Vedic Capricorn. And this energy, just be aware, can make you feel weak and very lacking in confidence, can be bad for health. Key point number 5, Mars conjunct Pluto on the 26th of April. So this is at 27 Vedic Sagittarius. Now think about it. Who is Mars? The warrior. Who is Pluto? The Dark Lord. Well, they are in conjunction on the 26th of April. And so we'll be aware of that course. You see, it could simply be rising darkness in you, but its real nature is a huge burst of energy that you will use non-harmfully to others to become who you're meant to be, to empower yourself, to arise, to be inspired. Now, Mercury is retrograde. This is key point number 6. Until the 14th of April. But remember, the Mercury retrograde effect continues until Mercury regains its pre-retrogradation position, which is the end of April. So obviously we have the usual stuff about you could be sent, problems in communications, posts, IT, filing. And so you need to stay calm and deal with them methodically, if you can. They really can take a lot of time. You can think you've got everything sorted out and then something happens. Well, I never thought Mercury retrograde would do that to me. And Mercury is in Vedic Pisces, which is sensitive and inspired, but can lead to confusion. So note if confusion is coming in your communications and organisation. Take note of the glitches. Now, the important thing I'm wanting to say is, just like with the Saturn-Mars conjunction, we can learn from our Mercury retrograde problems and issues. They can actually point the way to strategizing, making decisions, defining your priorities. They're showing up where you might be doing things which involve Mercury issues which bring you problems. So you could simplify. That's a very important point of how to respond to Mercury retrograde. And then, point number 7, Saturn goes retrograde. Saturn goes retrograde on April the 17th and actually stays retrograde until September the 6th. And Saturn, as I've said already, is in Vedic Sagittarius in Purvashada. Okay, let's just take a little look at that. When Saturn slows to station before retrograding, he becomes very, very powerful. The slower a planet's apparent motion in the heavens, the more powerfully ingrained his impact. So obviously you would take account of the usual things, and do get in touch with me for a reading or one of my courses. The website addresses are in the blog. The reading website is Star Wheel Astrology. My basic course website is Master Vedic Astrology, although I also have a Western course. And so you assess how a planet will occur in terms of the house it's going through in your chart, in your Vedic chart especially, but not at all to disregard the Western chart. And in the amount of support a planet receives as it goes through the sign it's in. Getting technical, you can actually work out how risky a planet's transit is by looking at the Ashtaka Varga points that planet has in each of your signs and houses. Okay, but when Saturn goes stationary and then retrograde, well, just very briefly, say you have Sun in Purvashada Nakshatra. Basically, and I've had a lot of people coming to me for readings and courses, when Saturn goes over your Sun, if you're off course in your life and in dealing with your challenges, you will experience professional downfall and pessimism and lots of problems. But if you're on course and you've perceived and sorted out the problems, as Saturn goes over Sun, you experience golden reaping and maybe a redirection in your life, taking on a new project, maybe leaving behind what no longer serves you. And of course, if you have Moon in Vedic Sagittarius, especially in Purvashada Nakshatra, then you're in the middle of Sade Sate. And if you're in Sade Sate, do get a reading from me. Sade Sate is when Saturn transits through the sign before your moon in your Vedic birth chart, the sign of the moon and the sign after the moon. And it's got a much more accurate and accurately defined statement in terms of the nakshatras, the lunar signs that Saturn passes through. So at certain times it'll say you will experience fool's paradise. At other times you will experience great tension and pessimism. It's worth knowing the dates and what to do about this. So ask yourself some Saturn questions. Everybody can do this when Saturn is retrograde. Well, is it the case that I do too much under the influence of impulse and excitement? You can use this to recognise your bedrock motivations. Another big Saturn question. Do I draw back out of fear and lack of confidence my Saturn blocks? What role does fear and blocks play in your life? Indeed, because Saturn can give us such lack of confidence as his negative effect, do you have a bedrock sense that you are a loser and that failure will always hold you back, and you may succeed, but like water it will run through your fingers? Look at these issues, heal them, understand them, perceive them and heal them. And develop an awareness of the consequences of the decisions in your life. Okay, Pluto is retrograde from the 22nd of April to September the 30th. And do note that as per my blog, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is implacably building up. Read about that. We covered it in my March newsletter and it's on my 2018 page on my Star Wheel Astrology website. Okay, Jupiter is retrograde all month in Vedic Libra. So this is a time to patiently ground your expansionary notions that have developed, implement them, ground them, make them realistic, cut them down to size, get them properly resourced. Point number 10, Rahu is in Chelation Nakshatra. Rahu is transiting through Vedic Cancer. And so Chelation Nakshatra is inspirational, but it's serpent energy. It's very deep, can get very hurt. And Rahu transiting through it needs to be understood. Okay, I'm hurrying up because my time's running out. Venus enters Vedic Taurus on April the 20th. And big one, final one, Chiron enters Western Aries for the very first time since he was discovered. So on April the 12th, Chiron enters Western Aries at Vedic 6 Pisces. So Aries is about how you assert yourself. Chiron is about wounds. At this stage, evaluate, is there a wound to the way you assert yourself? Too much, too weakly, blah, blah, blah. There can be deep ramifications. You need a healthy ego, but is your ego too proud or a prison? Do you need to reorder the way you assert yourself? Are you dealing with the challenges of your wounds? So embrace the upcoming Chiron in Aries energy. So have a look at the blog, which goes into more detail. You can enroll for a reading on the Star Wheel Astrology website. And you can enroll for either my Vedic or my Western foundation astrology courses, which indeed go on to wonderful advanced courses. Thank you.